Happy Sunday. Happy last day of March as we head into April within about an hour and 5 minutes today. I just got home from getting my food, but just before that, I was at Godzilla X Kong, and holy shit. I have my review. I got my straight out of theater review, but I figured I was going to do the stream first anyway. So that will be up on the website under the video section. So keep an eye out for that. For those of you guys who are interested in my immediate thoughts right out of the theater. Hold on, let me fix this before it falls. All right. That movie is, like I said, one of the dumbest and stupid and most fun movies I've seen. And when I say dumb and stupid, I don't mean that in a derogatory fashion. This movie just lets itself go. This movie just says, we don't give a fuck about skeptics. We don't care if you're looking for detail. If you went to -1 and enjoyed it, it was like they're saying, we invite you. You're welcome. But fuck all that. We're going to do this the legendary MonsterVerse way.
We don't care about skeptics. We certainly don't care about historical landmarks.
Yeah, dude, I'm a big fan of somebody who's been to the Middle East. I'm a big fan of the pyramids of Giza. Apparently, the MonsterVerse is not. And you're not going to just be facelifting those. Well, you saw in the trailer alone, because this is going to be a non-spoiler review. You saw it in the trailer alone, their disregard for certain monuments. And I'm like, these monuments have been around thousands of years, but fuck it. Okay, they were just props.
Yeah, but Godzilla, he does, without going into details, he does seem to have a bit of a soft spot for the Colosseum.
Well, yeah, he's sleeping in it. The characters were just good enough. They, like I said, the best thing about the humans is that they all work well together when they're on screen. There's not too many of them, and all the ones there have good chemistry, so they were fine. This wasn't a human movie though. This is monsters beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, this is very much the inverse of -1. Inverse or -1 is the it's the it's the deconstruction of like the kind of the why of Godzilla and his cultural significance and the history of post-war Japan and the impact of like what he what like a force of nature like Godzilla could have culturally. What he has had culturally, even as a fictional character, on Japan, Godzilla X Kong, New Empire. It's like, screw all that. We are just smashing shit.
Yeah, Godzilla -1 is a war movie about World War II and about the nation of Japan and the Empire of Japan and about the Japanese people. Godzilla's there and he does some spectacular stuff, but the monster, it's not I don't consider, it's a monster movie, but it's more, that movie's driven on the experiences and what those people go through and how you feel about those people. This movie is not driven on that. This movie is driven on pure, absolute, utter ridiculousness. Godzilla just basically goes on a hit squad and says, I'm going to fucking gather some energy. You're dead. Kong, the baby Kong or whatever the fuck he was called, he's huge.
Kong Jr., yeah.
Or they had a name for him. I've seen something. He's huge when you see him when you come into Earth, but no spoilers because you saw that. You see Scar King take a top of a building and throw it at Kong, so they're out of their zone. But yeah, you just forget the movie makes them look small when they're in their world, but when they come into ours, you realize just how big and how much damage these guys. They destroy an entire city. I mean,
that was the thing that really kind of jumped out at me at the beginning. Is like when because a lot of this movie takes place in the Hollow Earth. You see like Kong, swinging off of stuff and just climbing mountains and going into the caves and things like that. And then of course there's so there's a lot of the Hollow Earth in it, but the thing about it is that it portrays the kaiju that live there like while they're in it. It's portrayed like in like almost like human scale. So it's like when you see Kong like walking into a cave, it doesn't it's as if he's human.
Big cave.
Yeah, it's as if he's human. Oh, it's a massive cave. So so it's portrayed, and they're portrayed in almost human terms when they're in the Hollow Earth, and then once they come topside, then it's like we see like how much they really dwarf us.
Before I forget, tonight's show is brought to you by Universal Pictures' Monkey Man, starring director Dave Patel, produced kind of last minute by Jordan Peele, and only in theaters on April 5th. But if you just happen to be in what seems to be a rain-free Vegas for the next week at least, if you want to come by the center on Tuesday, I have some spots left for the screening on Wednesday, and I have lots of T-shirts and plenty of posters. Come take some pictures and enjoy a movie. I will most likely not be there with you, but I will definitely be seeing this towards the end of the week because, like I said, it's WrestleMania week. I've explained before. As we get closer, these next 2 months of fairly non-hellacious weather and obviously not Gilligan's hurricane weather, April and May are really good months to do a lot of stuff outdoors. We have a massive event scheduled for a lot. More of it came together today for some of the stuff we're doing. But yeah, go see Monkey Man in theaters April 5th. It looks like a lot of fun. But yeah, this movie is just I thought that if the villain could have used some more time, but he wasn't insignificant. It's actually a piece of shit. Like I said, this movie is very predictable. I don't know if a spoiler alert is necessarily. I mean, it's whatever you think is going to happen in this movie pretty much is how it lays out.
Yeah,
it is so predictable, but not in a way that's like, oh, I saw that coming from a mile. How lame. No, it's almost, they set it up that if the things that you don't predict to happen don't happen, you're going to be kind of pissed. It's like, wait a minute, you set me up for this, and I want to see it now. Like the third act is like pure just violence.
The third act is just where it's just the kitchen sink. I mean, it's
literally. I mean, they threw the building. They do worse than that though. There's worse shit that goes on. And other kind. It's a full on. The humans are just there. The smallest thing in that fight is a little baby Kong or mini Kong thing. And that was it.
And he's still probably like 100 feet tall.
Yeah, he's huge. He's actually, they say he's the size that Kong was in Skull Island. I'm like, I don't believe that, but he's big because he actually gets tossed through a building. I'm like, dude, to toss a little baby guy, he's just the Scar King's an asshole. He's just everybody. I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but there's a reason why he's in power. Yeah, but like I said, you don't need to strain your brain. Who wins the ultimate battle? Come on, guys. This is really the most spoiler-safe movie that you could possibly have. It's made a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe that number.
Yeah.
I refreshed that screen, and I'm like, "Are you serious?" This franchise has come a long way from possibly going extinct because not a lot of people like Godzilla King of the Monster to Kong versus Godzilla doing well. Did you see this weekend number? If that's correct, that number's huge.
Yeah, is this the Monster versus biggest opening weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Biggest opening weekend of the year so far.
Yeah. It's like 80 million domestic, 194 worldwide. So that's
and it hasn't even awesome. Opened up in all the markets yet.
Yeah.
Is that China? Is that including China?
I don't think it does include China. No. Let me go look up the IMDb.
Because China loves when they get Godzilla. They get any Godzilla movie. They're
And by the way, for those anybody who still kind of relishes the idea of Godzilla and Kong not just partnering up, but also the two of them, being on opposite sides of the conflict, you still get some of that in this movie. And as we kind of
not earlier, by Kong's doing.
Oh yeah, Kong's trying to be a little bit more diplomatic when this conflict begins. And,
he eventually gets fed up. He eventually gets fed up.
He's like, okay, I've had enough of this shit, and he fights back.
Yeah, he gets what he needs out of Godzilla. I'm not going to tell you guys how that happened, but they Godzilla gets the point that he's needed, and then the whole buddy cop thing happens. But I enjoyed this movie. I felt good when I left this movie. I was like, wow, that's fucking, and I'm like fully knowing that this movie's batshit dumb, but not dumb in like turn your brain off dumb. Dumb and like
it's not meet the Spartans dumb.
Don't complicate it. That's what I mean. Just go in there and they just do some toys out there for you to play with and just enjoy the toys. That's what it was to me. There was some dialogue in there that was cheesy as all hell, but it didn't bother me, you know.
Okay, no, it is out in China right now. It is.
It's out in
Came out
China.
in China. Yeah, but it's still got, what has it got? It's got Belgium, France, Austria, Germany, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, Egypt. I'm sure they're going to love it in Egypt. What happens?
Egypt. Oh no.
Saudi Arabia and Japan. And Japan, of course.
Japan is going to be big.
Yeah.
Because yes, they love their Toho stuff. They love their Toho stuff. They love -1. They loved it, but they trust me. Not only do you see the numbers that these last couple movies that they did in Japan, they did a lot of money in Japan. Plus, they love Godzilla making money because it opens up the door for their Godzillas to make money. So they have a very good relationship with Legendary and Warner Brothers. So they're going to be supporting this. So I saw 195 because I remember people like, well, maybe 50 to 60, you know, like that. And then when I saw the domestic number, just flew right. And the theater that I was in on a Sunday night, Easter, it was packed. I'm glad I reserved my seats. I'm glad I reserved my seat. The 3D one, the expensive one, I picked my head in there. It was packed. So, and people were just having fun, man. My crowd was electric. They were into it. I mean, you know, and everybody walked out. I was talking because some of the people who I gave tickets to, were there at my theater at the one I went to, so they recognized me and they were wearing their shirts and everything. I didn't get pictures because I was like, I was already fully reclined in my seat at that time. But yeah, they were there, and it was like, you know, we talked a little bit afterwards, and I did my review. It was just having fun, man. It was just, like I said, it was fun. This week has been, like I said, just fun. I've seen 2 movies this week: Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and this movie. And like I said, I just was there for fun. Now, yeah, I'm gonna need some cerebral movies. I'm gonna need some high-end Michael Mann shit eventually. I'm going to need that. My brain diet needs that. But I'm not gonna stop watching shit like this. Yeah.
Yeah, and clearly the rest of the world doesn't either, because I mean, this
I can't believe that number.
That is pretty damn good. And yeah, this is definitely, have definitely not reached the end of the MonsterVerse by a long shot yet.
Oh yeah, Wingard, the interview. Well, it just seems it depends on how it's going, dude. Because you know what? Now the only thing that might stop it from making like really buku dollars is that HBO Max and Warner Brothers may be like, dude, we got to get this.
We want to get this on home base services as soon as we can. Yeah.
We got to get this on home base, because if this movie does, because like I said, I generally don't think that, you know, let's make this amount of money, because once again, Legendary gets a percentage of that money and the theaters get a percentage of that money. And then, you know, just so many payouts right now. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money to us, but they're going to make their money back. But like I said, these greedy bastards are going to be like, wow, I mean, how much this weekend? Let's can you guys excuse me while I take my prime rib into another room? Fuck sitting at the table with you guys and cutting it up. No, I'm taking my meal and I'm going to the other room and I'm locking you guys out, because this is the kind of movie that's going to do really well on PVOD, and it's going to do really well on streaming. You could sit and watch this with a family. This movie right now. This movie, I mean, it has its violence, it's monster violence, but there were families there, dude, and there was nothing in this movie.
It's a big cartoon. You know, yeah, it's not. Yeah. I mean, the most graphic thing that happens in is when Kong has to get his tooth pulled. So
and then somebody gets the tooth knocked out.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah, that was like, it's like, God, I never thought I'd see that.
You saw how big the tooth was. I'm like,
the tooth was like the size of a car.
Yeah, but it was ridiculous fun. It was literally like why I was watching Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote, you know, and like there's gadgets and shit in there, you know, that it's like, okay, that you just happen to have that there. But then the gadget that they had there, they had a really credible explanation. So
it had a purpose to it. Yeah, it's like it's definitely sci-fi that's light on the science, heavy on the fiction, but that's all I need.
And then Rebecca Hall, not her strongest role, but she's fine. All she does is narrate. She kind of over narrates stuff, but I'm like, okay, I got it. You know, and her the one dude,
Daniel,
the podcaster dude. Yeah, let's hit the chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was kind of funny. He's probably my favorite human character in it, because he's he said it's like, oh, my life got me. No, nobody believes me when we got giant monsters running around, but But Daniel says, I haven't seen -1, but I have a feeling I prefer that movie. That being said, theaters would be extinct. They only push -1 type cinema. Yeah. I mean,
people would get fired. People would get fired.
This just made, like, let me look at -1 right now.
Like I told you the first weekend I didn't think it was going to be 200 million, but
it's not missing it by much.
Yeah, it's 195.
No, -1 did 112.8. So yeah, this just beat -1's entire run by like $70 million.
And that's not a knock on each of these movies were made for the audiences that they wanted to come see them. And guess what? By making these movies, they got a guy like me and you who went to see both of these movies.
Yeah.
So that's why you do this kind of stuff. But yeah, this movie was fun. I love being in theater atmospheres like that where everybody's just having fun. You know, everybody was wanting more. Everybody was, I didn't see one disappointed person when I left.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine anyone being disappointed, but it's like, because I mean, you know what you should know what you're going in for with this. It's like it's Godzilla, it's Kong. Yeah,
it delivers on the promise of the trailer and all the hype. All the hype for its movie. It delivers. Hey, we want more kaiju. We want more fighting. We don't want as many humans. And they said, okay. But the humans are not completely irrelevant. Go ahead and put it up.
Aaron's got a good one here. I loved seeing them go to Rio where Christ the Redeemer is, and I thought to myself yesterday, wow, I guess this does classify as an Easter movie.
Yeah, are they going to destroy that? I'm like, oh no, they didn't do that. But yeah,
they trashed
movies all over the world. Yeah.
And it's against like your landmark is not in any way of concern to these to the Titans.
Nope.
It's again, it's like that's what I'm wondering about when it comes out in Egypt. It's like what's the reaction going to be with it? Because the pyramids, they don't just take like a they don't get nicked or anything. I'll say the pyramids, like they're done. It's like they are smoked.
I mean, they die in the trailer. You see that, but it's just wow. But all right, next one, because like I said, I want
no, it is not the Meet the Spartans and Monster movies. It is not. It is far better.
Meet the Spartans, by the way, guys, what made that movie worse was that we didn't make any money. That movie was awful, and we were still. Where are we at?
Yeah, I think we're still at 10 too. But
guys.
Yeah, this is why I'm telling you guys I'm taking the reins back. We are going to the raid 2. Okay, you're not putting me.
We're not going to make. Dude, we watched a good movie and we didn't move $1, man.
We watched a terrible movie and it was always.
But we raised more money with terrible movies than we've done with the good ones.
Yeah, well, they decided their generosity for that has run its course now. So
yeah, maybe do I need to take the goal down from 15,000 to maybe to 10.5? I mean, I don't know. You guys let me know.
Come on, guys. I think Bradley. He's a little bit more of a. Wasn't as big on it. He said they basically done with the Godzilla in this film. He shouldn't even been in it.
Nah, he's relevant.
Yeah, he's right.
It's not just for the fun. he's just
it's definitely like Godzilla versus Kong. It's like it's from more so from Kong's perspective, because again, Kong is like because Godzilla again he's just a blunt instrument. I mean, he's not a deep thinker. So.
Yeah, he's primal. He's a dinosaur. Whereas Kong is more closer to. Actually, I like the balance of Kong because Kong is more relatable to us humans. He's our avatar, whereas Godzilla is just there. Godzilla just doesn't give a fuck. You're around. I want to fight you. I want to fight you. I want to chew you up, and then I want to go back to sleep.
I'm kind of hoping to. And speaking of going to sleep, I'm kind of hoping to in the next one they make that into like a running thing where it's like he's now kind of claimed the Coliseum as like his bed. Yeah. It's like how are they going to adjust the Coliseum now?
I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, and also because he does kind of have when he gets up from the Coliseum, it's like he nicks the one wall of it like a little bit, but he doesn't trash it.
He respects the Coliseum, but fuck the pyramids, though.
Yeah,
fuck the pyramids.
What else? William, would you rate the movie from 1 to 10? How would you rate the legendary monster movies of the series?
All right. So for me, the top one is Godzilla versus Kong. This one is right behind it though. By interest. Godzilla King of the Monsters. Actually, no, not Godzilla King of the Monsters. Third would be Skull Island. After Skull Island, it's King of the Monsters, and then and then the
Godzilla.
2014 Godzilla. Yeah, that's it. That's how I'd rate him.
Yeah, and like
as far
I
as
said,
1 to 10, for what I wanted out of it, it was a 9. For what I wanted out of it. Now, I'm not comparing this to like Blade Runner 2049 or Goodfellas or something like that. But for what I wanted out of this movie, the expectations that I set and the level of satisfaction that I gave myself for this movie, I would give it a damn near good rating.
Yeah, so definitely went on that Godzilla. Or I'm surprised they didn't go and find the Pacific.
Well, shit, they were everywhere else. I mean, they were, there weren't too many places that they didn't, because of the way that it sets up, they could go anywhere.
Yeah, landmarks they're pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very clear. It's like, it's guys, they don't care. It's like whatever.
And be fair, I mean, they can rebuild those. Yes.
They can rebuild the pyramids, but it's like then it's like they're not the pyramids like they were before. They're not thousands of years old. They're the reconstructed pyramids.
Well, as long as they use the same bricks for the most part, I mean, just having them there, they'll be all right.
Let's see. Reyes says, I think Alamo Draft House boutique theaters could do -1 numbers for stuff from A24. Maybe some Netflix limit to showing as old news or going for the curated experience.
Yeah, it's all about what you're going for. Like I said, when I entered Godzilla -1, I was going for something what they were advertising. I was on board for what they were doing. When I went into this movie, I was on board for the circus that I knew they were going to give me. And this was a circus. This is ridiculous. Yeah. It was like, what? They're really going to do that? And by the way, body count, I'm sorry, thousands of people are dead in this movie. Thousands of people died. You may not have seen them die. They died. There's people there at one moment, right? And then there's Godzilla, and there's Kong, and there's Scar King, and there's the 2 dinosaurs. And then I'm sorry, unless those people were beamed up by the USS Enterprise, those people are dead. I'm like, there's just, like I said, you got to realize, like I said, especially when it come to our realm, and you just see they literally destroy at least 3 city blocks. And there were people who could not evacuate. Because remember, you didn't know where they were going to pop up. It's not like on Monarch where you knew there was a warning system. Because of the way they were coming through, there was no warning. Those people had nowhere to go. You think Godzilla cared? You think Kong cared? You think Scar King cared? You think was it Shimu cared? Nope.
If anybody didn't care, it was Scar King.
Scar King really didn't care. Scar King didn't even care about his own monkeys. Then now there's something he does that really is kind of like, that's fucked up. I hope you get fucked up. I hope you get fucked up.
Oh, he's a bastard. Yeah, he is a bastard.
So they did a good job of making you want him to go.
John Lawrence is care of his ear. Yeah, exactly. That's where.
Well, plus Godzilla. Remember, Godzilla -1 is a foreign movie. American audience generally don't go see foreign movies. Period. Especially with subtitles.
Yeah, they'll see him on VOD, but not theatrically.
Yeah, I'm not. If you know me for any number of years, you would know that I've shown every foreign horror movie known to man, and through 2 and 3 times from places I didn't even know had horror movies. So I'm the subtitle guy. I'm okay with it, but the general audience doesn't like to read movies, and they don't like it. And I'm not saying they don't like foreign movies. It's just it's not as big. It's not as big here. I wish it were. Listen, I'm a proponent. I wish I could convert everybody to watch some Dario Argento stuff, to be watching some Mario Bavo stuff, not the stuff that's the Americanized stuff, not dub stuff, the subtitle stuff, because sometimes it's dub stuff when it comes to like Italian horror, it sounds like shit.
Oh,
I would just rather you be speaking Italian. I'll read it. Fuck it.
Yeah, and when we do the Raid 2 watch party, rest assured it will not be the dubbed version. Let's see, Vince says, yeah, he's trolling when he says like this is like the Meet the Spartans of monster movies. Come on.
Oh yeah,
Meet the Spartans wishes it was like this, like good, stupid good.
Well, Meet the Spartans achieves its goal though, being a fucking stupid movie.
It's a movie that's actively setting out to be not. It's not setting out to be stupid fun. It's just setting out to be stupid.
Yeah, and like I said, if you could give somebody who was in it for that could give Meet the Spartans a high rating if that is what your expectations were. But it's all about taste and preferences. I 5 minutes into that movie, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Okay, so and then as I refresh the screen, and I'm like, we're not even making any money on it. I got customers. Thank God I had a promotion and customers are coming in. All right, Godzilla Minus One was a very conservative movie. The whole theme of it is you can't depend on government. That's part of it. But part of it was just it was about the type. For me, it was more about the type of patriotism, what it meant, because the government wasn't what the people of Japan gave a shit about. It was being part of the empire and the emperor and all the things that they did for the emperor in the name of it. They fought that war and lost millions of people in the name of the emperor. And the emperor wasn't necessarily, he's government, but they consider the emperor directly as descendant from the sun. He's a god. And when you see like the one dude, the military guy, he's second guessing why this is a lost cause for, and that's how they were able to end the war. When Hirohito came on and said this war is over, that's when they ended the war, because they were going to keep on fighting, not for the government, not for the military, but for him. And when he got up on there and had that recorded statement and said, lay down your arms, that's when it all stopped. So, they're looking back on the destruction of their land for this god, and it wasn't worth it, but to me, just straight up, Godzilla Minus One is it can be classified as a war movie. But yeah, you're right, Clint. This is part of that. That's part of it for me. But I thought it was more as like they believed in something. They believed in the Empire of Japan, and look where it led them. And now here comes this fucking lizard that's just basically going to do the same thing with one breath, as Enola Gay did. All right, so let's see. Yeah, it's worth it. It's just like I said, it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, I like when I watch movies and I get up out of the movies and I'm like, I got a pep in my step type of movie.
Yeah. Aaron says the director got the idea of Godzilla claiming the Coliseum is better than the way his cat sleeps. Okay.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, again, that's very much Godzilla's attitude. He's like, yeah, guys, this is my bed now. So if you got a problem with it, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and they weren't going to move him. They were just
what are you going to do? It's like Godzilla sleeping at the Coliseum. It's like, okay, I mean,
get up. Scar King, I thought, for the time that they used him on the screen, he was a piece of shit. And like I said, he does something at the outset that's like, okay, you're just an asshole.
Yeah, you are. He's a dick.
But he is a dick. So the movie wasn't forever, but it was long enough. They gave him enough screen time to where, you need to die. You need to die.
The only thing missing from Godzilla X Kong or Extraterrestrials is just spoil the movie.
Not necessarily, but there's certain things that they did in this that a lot of old school
kaiju movies,
and a whole old school 70s Godzilla fans are gonna really like. They did one particular character justice in the way that they brought that character in. So I thought that was good. They better than they did the first time that they did that. So
and you guys could probably read between the lines on which character that is. This movie, like I said, is spoiled.
It's Mothra. I'm sorry, but I have promotional materials with fucking Mothra on them. How is that a spoiler? You see the moth, and they're standing in front of him, and the girl's in front of, that's, how is Mothra a spoiler? Sorry. They didn't, and plus you couldn't spoil. She's part of the movie, literally, and you can't not know that Martha is. Like I said, I don't think there's any spoilers in this movie. How this movie you think rolls out in your head is exactly how it does. And even saying that, go see it, because it being predictable doesn't make it any less fun. It was still, you knew exactly how this was going to end.
They did.
Wow.
I thought they did rework, the whole aspect of Mothra with, the two little girls who were kind of summoning Mothra originally, in the Japanese movies. They reworked that side of Mothra, to something a little bit different here, and that was kind of a nice reimagining, I thought.
Yeah, funny how many were complaining that GBK.
Who was complaining about that with Godzilla vs. Kong?
I think some people were, and I'm like, I don't know what movie they saw. I love Godzilla, dude. The Hong Kong fight in Godzilla vs. Kong was complete. Yeah, and even Godzilla vs. Kong is pure bullshit. But you have to go in saying, I'm going to just have some fun with this, because how is Godzilla? She's sniffing Kong through the core of the earth, and he just with one breath is able to burrow down into the corner and hey, there you are. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I thought Godzilla vs. Kong, they did a very good job of making that a realistic fight. How a primate would measure up against a fucking dragon that can kill you from distance. Dude, it should not have even been a fight. Kong was smarter, but literally Godzilla could literally just take aim at you and
it's just atomic breath. It's like that's the
he has a tail. He used the tail
card
very effectively. And he's bigger. I mean, they showed it here. Yeah. Godzilla is significantly bigger than Kong.
And they actually have a nice callback to their Hong Kong fight too. When they meet up again in Egypt, they have a kind of a callback to that when Kong is trying to say like, "Hey, listen, we got to set our shit aside here. I got to talk to you about something important." And Godzilla's not having it, and he pins him down, and that's it's again similar to the roaring scene they have. But that's when Kong kind of says, "Okay, I got to take the gloves off now."
Yeah, and he actually had that glove at that point, and he said that glove was cool.
That glove is awesome.
Cool. But like I said, -1 is just a different movie with a different goal, and it meets its goal. -1 does exactly what -1 sets out to do. So does Godzilla vs. Kong. How you doing, Mighty Rex? There's Ruth.
William Brad, did the movie leave off for another one to be made? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really have like a cliffhanger per se, but it does definitely like say it's like, oh, and yes, with these results, you will be seeing more MonsterVerse.
Yeah, and he's already talking about the ideas he wants to do, and you know what, Adam Wingard, be as ridiculous as you want to be. Don't hold back.
Yes, please don't hold back.
Don't hold back. I mean, because him not holding back made this movie fun.
When I was on the Four Nerds a few nights ago, I talked about, and Phil agreed with me on this, where I said, the next kaiju I would really want to see in terms for like the Japanese Godzilla movies. The next one I would want to see, because they have original villain kaiju in this one. But as far as like if you were to bring in another one like Ghidra or Gigan or Rodan or any of the other ones we've seen so far in the MonsterVerse, like who hasn't been used yet, I would want to see Biollante. Because we've never seen Biollante in an American Godzilla movie. It's like Biollante.
Biollante doesn't have any name value though. I think with how they've been successful here is they've stuck with name value. I mean, it's a cool enemy, but I don't. You would have to have both of them in it if you're going to have
Godzilla and Kong.
Yeah, you'd have to have that because that Biollante is not going to get any.
I'm kind of wondering that too. Is like now that we've done like the last two. MonsterVerse movies have been Godzilla and Kong together, so it's like are they kind of like separable at this point, or are they going to go back? Are they going to at any point do any any individual ones with either of them, or are they kind of in a partnership now?
Yeah, I maybe, or because like I said, I don't even know
that's definitely working out for them having the dynamic duo of Godzilla and Kong.
I mean, GS Kong. I don't know. I don't want to hear anybody complaining about how stupid Fast and Furious. Well, they are stupid, but they like this film. They're on the same level.
Dream on, dude. I'm sorry, but you're more complaints about how stupid Fast and Furious is.
Fast and Furious, from my opinion, is trash. But you know what? It's not my thing. I mean, they lost me several movies ago. But same thing though. It sets out to be ridiculous and dumb, and they have an audience that loves them for. Listen. If you came back to Fast and Furious after they put a fucking car into orbit pretty much with duct tape, then that's what you're in for, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's not even just the car. It's not even just the car in space that makes me laugh. Also, it's the fact they have they're two astronauts. They're breathing as they're both they wear these two scuba diver outfits.
The air friction alone, the pressure. It's just not. It's ridiculous, but that's fine. I wouldn't call it trash. I think Fast and Furious movies are trash, but you know what? That's not fair. But it's like I said, it makes a lot of money. There's an audience out there for it. I don't think the Fast and Furious movies actually achieve their goal, though. In my opinion, I just think they're just stupid.
Okay. The point is like because they started out relatively grounded, and they've been dialing it up more and more and more, and now they've gotten to the point where it's like it's just so. It's so over the line. Just it's each one. It's like it's not even about like how much this is going to top the next one in terms of just the action and the stunts and the car chases and the fight scenes and all that. Now it's about how is it going to top each one, like with how much the disregard they have of reality.
Yeah, and at least when you're talking about Godzilla and Kong, you're talking about giant monsters and shit that don't exist anyway.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be a little bit more grounded because they are literally just regular human beings with to be driving cars and shit.
Yeah,
So.
and they got a magnet car in the last one too. That's like it can
Which should have
like
destroyed the power of that magnet's not. I'm sorry.
well
And the missile. What's the missile? The one where he's dodging the missile in the car, the torpedo. That was where I was like, okay, this
the
is
magnet
not.
cars too is like there's no science to that too, where it's like they have the magnet car that can like they switch on the magnet and they can pull like a car from like that's got like two buildings between them and the other car, and they switch on the magnet and they just yank the car over to them, and the car just smashes through everything in its path. And by the way, it's like that's also you talk about like a casualties we were just saying a minute ago with in this movie. It's like, oh, Fast and Furious, like it's like, oh, there
Didn't they have a
are
safe?
thousands of
What's the
people
one
dead
where they were dragging that fucking heavy safe and that safe was
in Fast
swinging
Five.
around? I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
well,
okay, guys.
and it's like compared to what they're doing now, like that looks just that looks just
That's just
grounded
like
and
Indiana Jones level.
yeah.
All right, numbers. I'm going to slightly disagree with you, and here's why. So I'm going to read your comment. Actually, William, I disagree with you narratively speak. You were able to take Godzilla completely out of the movie. It wouldn't change your overall. No, because, okay, without spoiling it, when you get to a certain tribe of people, they explain Godzilla's role in all of this. He didn't have to be in the movie like that to not be relevant in the movie because the kaiju have a role. Those particular ones, Godzilla's version, people where he's from and that thing had a role. And the Scar King Godzilla was part of his story as well. So he was part of the story. I would have to slightly disagree there. You would have to have changed the story if you did. You couldn't just completely take him out. But he was relevant because of what they are. Every kaiju in the movie is relevant to the story. I mean, there's not one in there. Even the lowly apes that are just bowing down to Scar King were relevant. So I slightly disagree, but you know what? Hey. Let's see. I watch a lot of stuff with subtitles, so I don't miss kaiju. So do I. I love stuff with subtitles. I mean, like I said, I have screened like hundreds of movies at the Sci-Fi Center that are foreign-made movies. I mean, Japanese, Tokyo Gore, all these things, dude. And all of the Japanese original. When I show Gojira with subtitles. I'm not just original. I am on the side of that. But like I said, the general audience is just the general audience in foreign movies in general. The Academy loves that stuff, but the general audience just leaves it. They don't. Like I said, case in point. Is Godzilla -1 quality-wise a better movie? Sure, you could say, of course, depending on what you're going for. But it like I said, this movie and all of its goopiness literally doubled, or almost doubles Godzilla -1 because this is what American audiences go for, and you really can't make fun of American audience for going for it because it's fun. So let's see. Ghidra is an alien. Well, not just Japanese film distribution. Anything that's not American. Anything that's not American is has weird distribution here. And that's been for like decades. It's just the way, because in order, Japanese studios they have a way of making movies that appeals to where they're making those movies, and it has wide appeal, but not the mass appeal. Like a guy like me is gonna like these movies, but like $200 million worth of people are not gonna like this type of movies. I'll tell you that right now. Whether a movie is good and whether a lot of people like it, that's one thing, and whether a movie is good and a mass amount of people that sustain American studios like it's a different environment, And when you look at Japanese movies, they've never really considered America as a priority for them. They make their money where they're at, and then they, whatever they get from us is a bonus. But getting it released here, and a lot of studios and a lot of companies that release movies, shy away from a lot of that because, like I said, and I'm not saying this is right. A lot, just in general, audiences in America in general are not big on foreign movies. I can't explain to you. I can kind of explain to you why, but I don't agree with it. But it is what it is. It sucks, but hey. Yeah, I saw a straight up trailer. All our promotional materials had Mothra in it. So
is that you mean Monarch? No, that's part of the MonsterVerse.
yeah, and they there's some mention of that in there too. I want another season of that. I hope.
Oh yeah, I do, and I'm sure you're gonna get another season of that, and probably another 3 or 4 MonsterVerse movies in Greenland after this opening.
Dennis is still waiting for Gamma to open the WB. Oh, that's who I think that should be one of their next ones. That's got.
I think they're probably already considering Gamera.
Yeah,
they probably had that for a while. It's probably going to be next one. I'd love to see also Anquirus. Godzilla's buddy Anquirus.
I don't think he's going to be leaving. I mean, well, Kong is like I said. Kong for me is much more, like I said, he's much more relatable to us because Kong is thinking the same crazy shit that we are. Kong is actually like, this is some crazy shit. You see the expressions on his face. He's like, are you serious? I don't know how many times his facial expression like. I'm like, that's me.
Well, again, when he sees like what Scar King is up to, he does a lot of that.
Yeah, and that was a good opening fight. Godzilla versus Kong. You know what? Don't say it too loud because somebody, somebody will do that shit.
So they're probably gonna have like a giant gorilla and lizard in the next. I mean, it's like, again, this series is like that series has gone so far off the tracks. It's like it's like,
yeah, hit the like and subscribe button, guys. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this movie. Like I said, it was as advertised, and not everybody's gonna like it, but at the same time, that's what movies are. They're subjective. I mean, there's plenty of Godzilla out there for you. If you didn't like this Godzilla, I mean, you got -1. If you liked -1, and you didn't like -1, and you want the craziness, then this movie's for you. If you like them both, then you have them both. So
yeah, I'm in the both category. See, Ruth asks fourth. We should ask William if we could do a Terrifier 3 when it comes out of hype for that movie. I gotta brace myself for that one.
And you know what? They're talking like they said. There's
it's gonna make like the last one look like a Mickey Mouse cartoon or something.
Oh, by the way, there was a movie poster for a movie called Sting. I am not going. It's like a giant Black Widow or some shit like that. I posted that. I'm like, fuck no. I just can't do. I'm not arachnophobia, but I just don't like spiders. I don't kill them anymore. Like I used to kill them and like, as soon as I see them, but now I actually am brave enough to get rid of them. Black Widow, it doesn't matter. Just put it in the cup, get out. But I can't watch a movie about spiders anymore. It's just, 8-legged freak was ridiculous because that wasn't that big a deal because those things were giant. But like arachnophobia, the Brazilian wandering spiders, and they just made up their own poison spiders. And when the way they bit you, and they just like you're
arachnophobia. Yeah, that's probably the best. Yeah, it's weird because I am actually kind of arachnophobic, but I never had a problem with that movie when I was like 11 when I first saw it, or 12 when I first saw it. It's like that never. I mean, it's definitely intense, but it's like for whatever reason, it's like I was able to process that relatively well. Maybe because it's also got John Goodman and it's got a fair amount of comedy. Okay, you guys are pretty set on this, so okay, I'll make a deal, guys. It's like if you finally let me do the Raid 2 watch party, we can do this, okay?
Wait a minute, we're still at 10,200. No, we ain't doing shit. Like I said, we can't. We were stuck on that number because we can't. We gotta actually have the charity move forward before we start, subjecting ourselves to this.
Godzilla Kong versus Godzilla versus Fast and Furious, directed by Zack Snyder. If he did a kaiju movie, I think probably tonally it would be. I think probably tonally it would actually probably be kind of a middle ground between -1 and Godzilla X Kong, because he would definitely bring all the big insane action, but he also would also take the deconstructionist approach that -1 does.
Hot chicks with abs. Amazon.
A lot of slow motion.
Slow motion. Yep, that's slow motion. That tail's coming. Here's the tail. Slowly.
Speed ramping. That's what speed ramping with the tails. Like slow down, speed back up.
Junkie XL doing the thing.
Yeah. So.
Well, no, he did this. He did the score for this, by the way. This is him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Junkie XL. I forgot about that. Yeah. So the score was really good. By the way, the score was really good in this movie. It kind of like an underrated situation, but it's there. It does its job. But Yeah, like I said, had a lot of fun with that movie, and now it's open topic. So,
well, William's probably more okay with this than I am.
he's an Academy Award-winning filmmaker. So,
Yeah, just don't ever touch Thor again, dude, or superheroes
well,
in general.
Thor was dumb before he got a hold of it, though. It was just dumber. You know, I mean, you had Kenneth Branagh, an Academy Award-winning
Was
a
more like a
filmmaker in
Shakespearean
himself.
filmmaker.
Yeah, making that movie, and his movies were just dull, and Taika Waititi's just went completely other way. But I don't think there's a lot you can. To be honest with you, and I know this is going to sound like we're being fanboys to a certain particular director. Perfect director for a good Thor movie. If you really wanted to do the Walt Simonson ways and the ways that they failed to do in all four of their movies, it would be Zack Snyder himself. I would love to see him, because I think he would do it in the spirit that they were trying to adapt before they just said, "Fuck it, we're just going to make some slapstick bullshit," and here you go.
Yeah.
All right, First Omen. First Omen comes out like what, next week? I thought we were promoting.
Yeah, probably. Oh, by the way, I'm going to pull this up because I've seen this kind of floating around. This goes a bit more an open topic, but somebody pulled up like Wizard magazine, from 1995. They actually had a fan casting they were doing for a Justice League movie. So these are some interesting choices they had.
I remember that. I should have that.
You have that issue where they do pull this up for everybody.
Yeah, but we used to get Wizard. Wizard used to be our price guide before the internet. Wizard used to be, a lot of people were they ditched Overstreet to use Wizard, because Wizard had a lot of cool stuff on it, cool covers, cool ads.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, they don't list who would be Superman or Batman here, but okay, so yeah, for Flash, they were thinking Eric Stoltz. For Green Lantern, Bruce Campbell. For Wonder Woman, this bodybuilder, Rachel McLish. Okay. Yeah. Carrie Elwes for Green Arrow. Need Lex Luger for Martian Manhunter. Aquaman would be Kenneth Branagh. Who else we got here? Sam Neill. I can see Sam Neill as Maxwell Lord. He'd be a pretty good Maxwell Lord, I think. Who'd have for Cheetah? Elle McPherson. Fire.
First of all, we're already. I remember reading this, and I was already like, "Fuck this movie" because of some of the characters that were going to be in it. This is JLI shit. This is all JLI shit.
Yeah, it is. It is. Let's see. Christine Applegate for Fire. William Sadler for Reverse Flash. So it looks like almost like some Legion of Doom they were building up here. Despero would be Ron Perlman. Cersei, Deborah Unger. Arsenio Hall for Sinestro. Okay, that'd be interesting. Black Manta would be Wesley Snipes, and then James Earl Jones for Darkseid.
Okay, I remember reading this back in the 90s when this came out, and thinking, that even in the 90s, this is some of the worst fan casting I'd ever seen, even worse than some of the stupid shit that we do today. Because I think fan casting for the most part is a waste of time, but it is fun. It does fun. This is probably top tier bad. First of all, it just basically relies on what you saw the characters look like at some moment in their career, instead of thinking, any actor can have a dimension that they can pull out. B, the characters that they had, I couldn't even get through it before I was like, okay, you're gonna have that in the movie. So yeah, but
this has like 10 villains in it.
Yeah, and they're, like I said, they're all it's all JLI shit, and it's like, okay, first of all, this movie's gonna bomb. So
no, Ray, Wesley Snipes. It was James Earl Jones for Darkseid. It was Wesley Snipes for Black Manta. There.
Yeah, I'm glad that movie never got made.
Yeah, we got the JL we were all waiting for. It took some pushing to make it happen. We all got it. We're just waiting on the rest of it now. Bruce.
Now they're going to give us some JLI stuff. But like I said, I always have the option of not watching. Did you guys see that Alex Garland said that he's fallen out of love with making films? Alex Garland, I know his name. I know, what is he doing right now? I got so many directors' names in my head. He's working on something I should know. I think I'm promoting something. Let's see. He's only 53. Oh yeah, 28 days later, 28 days later, Sunshine. 28 weeks later, Never Let Me Go, Dread. Ugh. I love Ex Machina. Ex Machina. Annihilation was. I thought that was one of the biggest disappointments of
Yeah, I was
2018.
right. Come on, it has the same plot as the Raid.
It was sort of trash. He's doing Civil War. And
Yeah,
28 years
apparently
later.
that's like his what he's saying is going to be his swan song as directing.
See ya. I mean, I never believe a director when they say that. I never believe a director when they say that.
You said multiple times, like when you say, uh,
Yeah.
and without broaching into band topics, when certain actors, directors, or what have you say they're done with a particular genre or set of
We
movies.
don't even have to use the band topic. Any creative tells you that they're done. Don't believe them. Believe that that's how they feel at the moment, but don't believe that that's. I toss this out. Any creative, and he's 53 years old, just like Quentin Tarantino telling me that he's making his last movie is going to be the critic. That's I call bullshit. This is what these people do. They love doing it, and it's not all for the money. They could mean that at the moment, but like I said, they're gonna wake up one day, they'll see something, they'll get inspired, and they'll be back at it again because that's what artists do. That's who they are. So yeah, every actor or director or whatever that says, this is gonna be it for me. Yeah, okay, sure.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me. I don't know if you saw this, but apparently Gail Simone has mentioned she's actually been contacted by Zach about doing a Rebel Moon spinoff for the character Nemesis. Now she didn't say if this would be like where she'd be writing it, but she didn't say it was for a movie or a show or a comic. I'm inclined to think a comic because she's a comic writer. But she was like at WonderCon and talked a bit about this. So I guess we'll probably get some more details about that. When we get closer to Scargiver in a few weeks here.
And I will be seeing.
Yes, you'll be seeing it before I do.
On the 7th. And guess who's not coming with me? Guess who's not coming with me?
Me.
Fuck Austin and fuck Bradley. Fuck both of you guys. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You guys will be there, of course.
Oh, they're gonna be there, okay.
Oh, yeah. If anything I do in Vegas, they're local. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, they should be there. I mean, it's the other people that live, in other places that can't get to me.
William Brad thoughts. I've never seen it. I couldn't tell you.
I thought it was an over the top. I did not enjoy Natural Born Killers. It's not a bad movie. I just did not. I liked Woody Harrelson in it. That showed a lot of range for him. But I just thought it was an over the top movie, told from a point of view that I just didn't click with. That's just me.
Yeah. Question, William. Could you imagine Zach adapting the Marvel Max series Thor Vikings? Now we're gonna. Well, that's pretty much what he's doing with the.
Yeah, he's doing with his Twilight of the Gods. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not predicated on Marvel Thor, but it's still Thor and the Norse gods, and
but Thor when he's being done right, when Walt Simonson did the best run of Thor ever, he was using the Norse mythology properly. He was using Ragnarok. He was using all the characters better than they've ever been used. The World Tree, all that stuff. So yeah.
And Bradley says, "Wow, I feel the love, William."
His name was up on the screen, but of course you guys will be there.
Ruth asks, "What's everyone's favorite Tarantino movie?" I'd say probably Kill Bill for me.
It's going to be a tie. And it's going to be both of Christoph Waltz Academy Award winning ones. It's going to be Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards. Those are, depending on which day you catch me on, those it's going to be one of those. I love Kill Bill, but it doesn't, to me, quality wise, it doesn't reach the quality of those two.
Yeah, I see that, yeah. I remember actually when I saw it back in 03, my football coach, and he was also the GROC teacher at the school, because of course we live on a military base, although they have that I think in public schools too. But he saw I saw like as I was leaving the theater, like we bumped into each other. So hey Brad, and I was like, so he saw it the same night I did, and then we I was in at practice or whatever, like a few days later at school, and he just as we were preparing, like some guys were talking about Kill Bill, and he jumps in and says, "Oh yeah, Kill Bill, it's a movie about this blonde chick chops up half of Tokyo." It's like probably the most succinct summary I've ever heard of Kill Bill.
I love The Northman. I enjoyed The Northman. So it looks like we're caught up on the chat. So yeah, what we got going on this week? Monkey Man this week. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to be there for it.
Can't wait.
I got to schedule the Beekeeper, the Patreon Beekeeper one. That'll be a Patreon exclusive because I got to start treating patrons like they're special. We got I don't know what our fundraiser. I'm sort of demoralized after these last 2 weeks.
Really, because I could think of one that would be great that we should do on Saturday.
Okay, we'll drop about $500 in the fundraiser and we'll go.
I obviously love both. Yeah, I love Kill Bill too, and it was cool too with the Kill Bill. It kind of gave like a second wave for Gordon Liu, because that was like how a lot of like Western audiences who like didn't necessarily like know of his his Hong Kong career in 80s 90s, they were kind of exposed, including me. That was how I discovered Gordon Liu as a kid, master killer from 36 vs. Shaolin. So Inglourious Bastards, aka Tarantino's Talking at Tables movie. Okay,
we'll call it whatever you want to. That was a great movie.
That was also the first one I saw with Tarantino's. Well, it was the first one I saw of his, but was this the first one where he kind of really established the precedent of doing alternate history? Like when they blow away Hitler at the end, and saying like
that's the first one I know of. That's the first one I know of, because obviously the world would have been a different place if they got if that movie would have ended like it did in the movie. But as far as I know, because everything else was he. That's the first one I think he was. That's his only historical drama, isn't it?
Well, I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is a period piece. But that also obviously that makes that tweaks elements of that majorly tweaks like how the Manson family story, and of course it completely traces Bruce Lee. I'm not going to get in that rant though. Okay, but
you know about the thing why they were able to get away with that with Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
Because generations just don't know about Bruce Lee. They know the name Bruce Lee. They know who Bruce Lee is. They know what he means in the abstract. But 99.9% of the people you're going to run into are going to have a vague, generalized version
of
apparently in their head that no one else is going to know. So
apparently what Tarantino initially wanted to do with Bruce Lee and there was going to be like 10 times worse than what we saw, and it was mainly like Brad Pitt kind of pushing back on that. So it was he kind of saved us from like even worse. Like I said, I like the movie overall. So anytime I've revisited it, I just fast forward through that part.
But like people, like I said, most people you'll meet, most people I've ever met, they know who Bruce Lee is. They know who he is. They know he's in kung fu. They know he's martial arts. That's it. How he was, how most of them haven't seen a Bruce Lee movie. I know a lot of people who know who Bruce Lee is, but have never seen a Bruce Lee movie. So when you have that, you can kind of like create your own interpretation of him, and it's not going to hurt anything. Because, like I said, your audience that went to go see that movie they know who Manson is, but I guarantee you, most of the people don't know the details of Manson. So he actually took.
They know the idea about the Manson family, but not like the specifics.
Not the specifics and shit like that. Because, like I said, you couldn't have put all that into that kind of movie if they knew this, they cared about the specifics, Yeah, and it's all out there for people to find out. I mean, it's all you can go to YouTube and watch the documentary.
Here's also, if I don't want to pull up the Wikipedia for it, a little bit of trivia for everybody, because of course the Mansons being, part of the story of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that also being Sharon Tate, that Margot Robbie plays in the movie. I actually graduated from the same high school as Sharon Tate. So
that was such a gruesome. It's just that whole thing is just like, oh.
Yeah, let me pull up my. They've actually moved the school from where it was initially when I was living there. They've moved it. It used to be on the main base of Conservative. Now they've moved it to the housing area. But it was. This is where it was when I was living there when she was Vincennes American High School. Here we go. Okay, well, I'm just reiterating everybody. Sharon Tate, Sharon Tate right there, notable attendees. So, and also Brad. So, There you go.
Oh
Right?
yeah, you add your to the YouTube.
Oh no, fourth will probably do it for me.
Hey, fourth, add Brad to that. Hey, that's true. It's true. You were there. So yeah, when I'm like I said, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, be honest with you, I know.
Yeah, you never know what
Once
Ford
up,
is gonna like have his shenanigans on there.
in defense of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as much they took a lot of creative licenses in that movie, including Bruce Lee, but including how they portray it. Does the movie doesn't work? The movie doesn't work without the
Okay,
way they did it.
thank you,
You know what I
Fourth.
mean? Like that might not been the accurate portrayal of Bruce Lee, but that particular film doesn't work if they do. He made the movie he made, and the portrayals fit what he was doing. And if he would have done anything different, slightly, that movie doesn't work. So it is what it is when it comes to. I mean, people who know Bruce Lee and are tight to that legacy will know. They know how Bruce Lee was. And people who just know him in the abstract, those are the people who made that movie go. You know what I mean?
I went to the same middle school as Kirstie Allen. Okay, that's cool.
Listen, guys, I don't know who the fuck went to my junior high. I don't know who they went to my elementary. I don't know who graduated. I was just trying to get the hell out of there myself during my 12 years of schooling. So I don't know if anybody famous on there. And like I said, I don't go to any reunions, anything like that. I didn't even think about my high school. I was like, what? I remember escaping. I remember graduating and never looking back. But that's just me. Maybe there are some famous people that went to high school.
I mean, I only found out that, about that because I just looked up my old school there, and I saw she was an alumni. It's like, oh, okay.
I know some famous people are from San Bernardino, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm glad you made it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, you're talking like who have I kept up with that I went to high school with?
I was trying to forget those people while I was in high school with them. I was working hard to forget them.
There are still some I know through social media, but there have been a couple of times where I've actually there have been like 2-3 times I've actually bumped into some of them like just randomly, like going like into going through Target or something like that. It's like, oh, we went to the same high school. I was going to one guy, we're a couple of years removed, and it's like he's with his wife and he has a kid by that point, so.
I run, cool. If I ever did run into people and hey, we went to high school together, I'm like,
or Aaron. Oh, Aaron. I love the Pulp Fiction gave John Travolta's career back just time for him to screw it up afterwards in Battlefield Earth. Yeah, Battlefield Earth. That is a spectacular train wreck.
Hey guys, if you get us to a certain amount, we'll watch Battlefield Earth.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I would probably tolerate that a lot. I would tolerate that far better than Meet the Spartans. And
we need to move the needle significantly because we've fallen behind our pace. I may have to change the goal.
But yeah, Azteca says I went to school with Tyler Hecklin, Superman. I was class of 2004. He was class. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I was like,
I think going to regular high school helped me see exactly what I didn't want to do in life. Yeah, me too.
And who I didn't want to be around, and who I never wanted to see again.
Oh yeah.
Never.
Oh yeah, I called that was thinning the herd for me. It's like who I am, because graduation day, you realize I actually have a measure of control of like who is going to be in my hemisphere in my life, and it's like I have made the appropriate cuts, and like, who's gonna stay?
I get people that find me on Facebook that like, hey, we went to high school together. I'm like, so.
I've had a couple of people who too, because I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. It was actually one of the main things that got me started in martial arts was because I was getting pushed around a lot. And there were 2 guys in particular who just gave me shit all the time in high school. And I got friend requests from both of them on Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, like one of them I did a DM with. It's like, why would you send me this? Like, what makes you think I would want you in my life? And he, concocted this lovely piece of fiction about how he one time defended me from somebody else. It's like that. I can assure you that did not happen. But it's like, no,
listen,
you guys.
We weren't adults. I don't look back. As a grown ass man, I don't give 2 shits about what happened to me in high school. Like I said, I could run into somebody who I sat next to in every single class for the entire 4-year ordeal, and I wouldn't know because, like I said, I went through a mental ritual to forget you. It's like some of the people on deployment. Someone when I went, listen, I met some really good friends on deployment that are lifelong friends, and I met some pieces of shit. And I would tell them, I'm like, you know, I would barely. I said, you don't remember my name? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm trying. I'm literally as we are deploying, as we are in this theater of combat, I'm actively trying to forget you. So when this is over with, you're completely flushed from my mind. There's just some people that you meet in life are at times in your life that just don't mean anything to you. And it's like, high school, all of them, every single one of them.
Yeah, and I haven't been back there in since I graduated. Yes, I hate high school too.
Not going back, not going to any reunions. Too, really. I don't care. I don't need to relive those memories. They weren't horrible for me, but they're not significant to me. I mean, as you grow older, grown ass man and women stuff is what means stuff to you. There's more landmarks in, for you during the time afterwards. I mean, I joined the Army right out of high school. I've done all kinds of things. I've been all over the world. I've met people that half of them I like, the other half of them, like I said, I legitimately forgot about. I've opened a business. I've done all kinds of stuff since high school. I mean, so yeah, high school to me, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Ruth. I mean, it was, but it's like it was what it was. I mean, it was. I got some stories I could definitely share.
That you got bullied?
Yeah. 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 Because I was not. I was actually not. I was not a big kid. I was. I only started getting like fairly built and broad by about senior year. So yeah, I was kind of easy pickings.
I was in LA. We had metal detectors and shit. You fucked with somebody there. Somebody found a gun or a knife, and they took care of stuff. You didn't want. This was before Columbine. This was before anything. We just, like I said, back in the 90s, we just didn't have these. We didn't have ways to let these things out, and sometimes people got hurt. Like I said, we had metal detectors in the RA wing. We had metal detectors because I was in LA. San Bernardino, especially San Bernardino. San Bernardino, they were building schools with metal detectors because it was like, you fools crazy. School police was right out there. And this is like obviously we had a gang issue too. So, it wasn't just picking on somebody because if they were affiliated with somebody, you didn't want to, you just didn't even, you want to, like I said, I hung out with the geeks. we didn't hurt anybody. We didn't touch anybody. I was fairly sizable at that time. If you just didn't mess with me. So it was like, I didn't have that kind of problem, but,
yeah, I'm fairly sizable now. I'm fairly sizable now, but it's like the joke I tell, like, and people tell me that, and it's like, yeah, great. Why didn't this come around back when I was 12 when I could have used it?
Yeah, I was 5'10" my freshman year, so that was pretty big for a 14-year-old. So, hey, the Zodiac. Oh no, bring it back.
Where was that one at? Damn it, I lost it.
Hold on, I get it. Something about the Zodiac killer.
Yeah, but like I said, yeah, same thing happened to me, Aaron, and it's like, yeah, it's like we parted ways. I don't want you in my life anymore, especially after all the shit you put me through.
I can't find it.
Yeah,
it's like I said, I therapeutically forgot about a lot of people. Here we go. Hey, the Zodiac killer was here in Riverside, California. His initials were found carved under a desk. Yeah, and he killed somebody there. He killed somebody at RCC, Riverside Community College. So yeah, the Zodiac.
I did actually. I don't know if I've mentioned this since before, like about God, now I guess about 10 years ago now, I reconnected with a girl I went to high school with. Her name is Lena. So hi, Lena, if you're watching. I've actually sent her like a couple. I've shared a couple of streams with her. I haven't heard back yet, but she's also fairly busy now because she's a nurse now. She actually we were kind of reconnected through Facebook a while back, and when I went down to Tampa Comic Con in 2015, my friend Mike, that was perfect because it was Tampa, and that's where she was. She was down close to that, so we were able to meet up there. That was the first time we'd seen each other in about 13 years or 14 years at that point, and she was a few years older than I was. So we were attending at the same time, but then she and her family moved away. But we did have some overlap there in high school, so we knew each other, and it was nice. She was somebody who, again, it was nice to reconnect with, because I was not dealing with it. She's such a sweetheart. She's a lot like Rhea. She's all smiles all the time. She's Lena, if you're watching, open invite to come on the Sci-Fi Center. She's a big Turtles fan. She's she can talk about all this kind of stuff that we talk about here in the Sci-Fi Center for a really long time. And I also sent her a while back. I shared with her on her Facebook. I shared the ZSGL trailer and said, hey, if you're not familiar with the story of the Snyder Cut, I can fill you in any time. And she liked that with one of those like heart emojis.
People got stabbed, but it wasn't Julius Caesar. There were some stabbings. Trust me, we had issues in our.
Yeah.
Ooh, Golden State Killer. Yeah, that guy. They finally caught that guy. The original Night Stalker, not Richard Ramirez, but
we need a high school bully finder you could friend the Brad. No, I just don't want them in my life anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I just it's probably best for all involved that for your mental health that you forget about these people.
I'm not seeing anybody backstage, so fourth is I think you're just pulling my leg, man.
Payless Shoes, I remember those guys. Yeah, and then what was
what monstrosity of an entry he added to my school's old page.
Yeah, I remember Payless Shoes. That's where you went when you were broke, or Walmart.
Yeah, that's why it's called Payless.
Everybody else was going to Foot Locker, and then people would get bullied over that. Oh, you got Pro Wings on. I'm like, yeah.
That was actually something to give some slight details of when I went through like one thing a lot of these guys would do when they were pushing me around is that because again I was growing up in a military family, and one thing they would do is they would ask like what rank is your dad, and I would say he retired as a master sergeant, but he would be like a first sergeant at this point in time, and they would say, well, my dad outranks your dad, so what are you gonna do about it? It's like
okay, your dad may be bright, but you're a fucking idiot. I had that all the time. My dad's a colonel. Okay, you're not. Your dad's educated. You're a fucking idiot. You've been in school for quite enough time, and I think you need to be put back in a couple of levels, man. How did you get to the 6th grade? I would fuck with people all the time. My dad. They would go to my dad. They would go to my dad and be like laughing, like, "Are your kids fucking with my?" And they were friends, so they didn't take anything we did seriously. They're like,
and one of those guys that reached out to me was giving me shit. That reached out to me and said, I found out that he did not. Let's just say he definitely peaked in high school.
A lot of these guys did, and then a lot of them just ended up. A lot of my classmates ended up dead. To be honest with you, for a lot of various ways. Some of them died in combat, by the way. Some of them died in OIF. Some of them died. So I found out later on because we would have people that would look up. There's always somebody in your high school class that wants to bring people together. I'm like, you know what? It took me 4 years to unremember you. Let's keep it that way.
Well, of course, we can't have a stream without this guy jumping in. There's someone Mr. Bullies because I was bullied. Acknowledge me, William. I was born in the dark. I was molded by it. No, you're not his bully. You're just his nuisance.
You guys, the source of this Bane madness it's a shitty character. So let's remember why we keep bringing this up. It's a shitty, ill-conceived, bloated, lazy character. So you want to be Bane. That's what you're being. You're being one of the worst Batman villains that ever happened. One of the most over-exaggerated, overused. Just like I said, lazy concept, unimaginative unity. So if that's what you guys want to be, then that's who you are. Let's see. I used to be ugly in school. I'm ugly. I'm as ugly now as I was then. So I can't imagine you being ugly, Belle. What are you talking about? I don't know if you've all seen Belle. I can't imagine you being ugly in school. But oh well. I mean, people change, I guess. I don't know. Mervin's, Mervin's. We used to go to Mervin's because old man was cheap. So he, if he couldn't get it on a base, we went to Mervin's, we went to Zodi's or Kmart. Kmart, you know how many asses I beat because we bought shit from Kmart. Oh, your dad shops at Kmart. So what? It's a big deal. But and they would like step on my brand new shoes. One guy stepped on my brand new shoes, and I legit almost killed this person.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I am not a confrontational person per se. I mean, I'd rather just avoid it, especially as an adult. Because shit could go sideways. You don't know what can go on. You just don't want to put yourself in an unpredictable situation. But yeah, this one guy, I had brand new shoes, making fun of my shoes, and I'm like, at this point, I really, I knew what my parents could afford, and I never really sweat them about that. I'm like, it's not like we're hanging out at a party or something, and my shoes are going to come up. So he walked by, and he went and walked somewhere and stepped on my shoes, and they were white shoes. I kicked him right in the nuts as hard as I could.
Ooh.
And then when he doubled over, I kicked him again. The old man, that was the first time the old man had to come down in his Air Force universe, or in his Air Force uniform. That was the first time the old man had to come down for something I did in school. Wouldn't be the last, but
how old were you then?
I was 12, I think. 12. And I kicked him. And now, if those of you who have met me in person, by that time, 12, I was 5'8". I had pretty big feet.
That's pretty big for 12, yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't 5'8". And that's what keeps me, I generally don't get in these type of things. I'm afraid I'm gonna do something and it's gonna be a point of no return. Because there's been situations where it have been like, a scuffle here, a scuffle there, but I can feel myself losing it. You know how you can feel that simmering in the back of your head? That's like you're about to get to that point, and you have to understand if you connect squarely with somebody, you can fucking kill them. And I don't envision me doing well in prison or jail. The fucking county lockup. I'm like, I don't like it here. This is sucks. Yeah. So
okay, well, since you shared a story, I guess I got to share one of mine, and this is and it also involves some level of testicular damage. Like the big, and this also connects to one of the guys I was talking about, who both of them actually were the bullies who said, "Oh yeah, we want to be Facebook friends now 10 years later." What it was I went out for the, and looking back, it's like I wouldn't have, if I had to do it over, I wouldn't have like gone out for the high school football team. It's just not my sport. I was going out for it because it's like,
I don't like getting like that.
Well, because I was trying to get accepted. I was trying to it was a way to like, okay, if I got a Letterman's jacket, they won't push me around anymore. And I probably had in my head also, I'm going to get some girls out of this, which again, and none of those things happened. So it's like, what did I gain from it? But the first year I went out for it, I'd never played before. And when we started doing the practices, I got a stress fracture in my leg. So of course, that takes me off that puts me on the bench for the rest of the season. And the other kids in school were just absolutely insisting that, I was faking it, that I was just doing that because I was chickening out from the team, and I eventually, because I was hobbling around, but eventually I got crutches when the doctor X-rayed me and said, oh yeah, he's even though I thought I was getting better at that point, guy needs crutches. So I come into school that day with the crutches on, and they were just absolutely merciless with how much they were just hounding me about this. And I got to that point where you said it's like when you feel it in your head, it's like I'm about to explode. And I did. I took one of my crutches and I just nailed this one kid in the nuts with it. And
I did it with my foot, and I'm like, and it wasn't self. I mean, he wasn't putting me in any danger. I just needed to make an example of William was. But I really wasn't a bully. I'm very disciplined because, like I said, when you're my size and you're black, in some situations, you gotta deal with people's stupid ass mindset of that whole angry, aggressive black man thing. And one of my teachers in school tried to bring it up to my dad. He's like, I'm afraid of your son. And my exact words is, and I probably shouldn't have said this, I have given you no reason to be afraid of me. And I quote, you'll know when it's time to be afraid of me.
Yeah, you should. And I'm like, that.
And I told her, but you don't have anything to worry about, but there are other people, because like I said, I was in that mindset of like, I gotta fight through this conversation because your preconceptions of me. And I'm at that level. I'm in college prep. I'm in my IQ when it came to the English language. You couldn't a lot of these teachers are trying to talk around you, or talk like you didn't have a complete grasp of vocabulary. And then I remember one thing, like almost like I said, I didn't get violent, but I addressed this particular person, and it is something that bothers me to this day. When I'm talking to you, the absolute worst thing you could ever say to me is that I sound white.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask what this is about racism.
I lose to this day right now. I have to fight the urge to deliver a crisp backhand to whoever says that to me. That is the worst thing you could say to a black person. That is the absolute worst thing. And I had a teacher that said that to me. And this time, not only did the old man come down, because he was angry about that, my mom came down. My mom is sort of crazy. She's a loose cannon. The old man is the most reserved, person you ever, standard military sergeant. My mom's not. My mom can be explosive and like that. And my mom has a very high vocabulary. I get it from her. Yeah. So she came down there and she went fucking like a grenade. Well, because she knew how much that upset me,
When they said that, were they saying like you sound white, like your voice, or you sound white by your vocabulary?
No, because of vocabulary. Okay. And I'm like,
I mean, not that either one is,
not okay. Either one of them are a trash mentality. But to this day, I got somebody that called me and over the phone about for some stuff with the store. We had never met. All we had done is we had gone back and forth over the phone. So he never saw me until he actually had a chance to meet me. So he comes in the store and he's looking around. He's just looking around. He's walking around for a good 15 minutes. I get back to me. I help you. Can I help you? And I find that I'm like, what's your deal? He's like, well, I'm just waiting for the owner. And I'm like, I'm the owner. Well, no, I spoke to him over the phone. I'm like, yeah, I know who the fuck you are. I'm William. Oh, you sound white over the phone. We didn't do business. That was it.
Ooh,
this was something that would have meant. It took everything just to escort him out of the store without cutting him in half with the door itself. I was so enraged, and it took all the discipline that I had mustered up to say, whatever your proposal was, it's over. I need you to leave. That is the absolute worst thing you could ever say to a person of color. That is because what you're implying is that the English language is some kind of club and that we're not invited. And I'm like, fuck you, man. Get out of my face. And I put that on my Facebook side. And I actually was more graphic with it because I said on my Facebook side or my site,
there's a page.
Saying that to a person of color is worse than calling them the N-word. And I actually spelled out the N-word. That is absolutely, I would rather you just be honest about what you're, because it's not a compliment. And I know a lot of people try to, well, I meant to compliment. I don't care how you meant it. Understand that repeat what you just said to yourself. And it is like I could feel the heat behind my eyes just building to like, I need to grab the door handle, open it up, and make sure that this person is on the other side of my door. And then I lock the door so that, because I was like, just to keep myself going out there and like, yeah. So I've had teachers do that. And I'm like, what were you expecting? What were you expecting me to sound like? That's my second. I never get to the point where I ask that question of them. I'm like, what were you expecting? Because I don't want to know, because I know if I get that answer, then it's
probably going to sound even worse.
This is the point of return. This is like, you know what? It's best that we part ways and we never see each other again. And I let people know in public. I put that on the page. I have like 2,000 whatever followers on that page, and I let people know in person. That is, if you're thinking that, keep that shit in your skull, because that will literally, whatever relationship we have, it's over. It's over. All right, it's over. Okay, but I had a teacher do that.
I hope these last 15 minutes we don't sound like a couple psychopaths when talking about our this history of the guys. But
what never happened?
Let me go. Was it this? Is like somebody said you sounded white forth?
Oh, are you talking? Okay, I jump in the chat. Schwartz is probably talking to somebody else. It happens to me all the time, or not all the time, but more than it ever should. More than it ever should. And like I said, it triggers something in me that is just not cool. It's just like, I got to get out of here. I need some air. I gotta get away from you right now. And it's like, ooh.
Vince asks, no, actually, I played lineman. I mean, to the extent that I played, because I was, because again, I was in it. I was not in the sport for the right reasons, because it wasn't my sport. My motivation was, it's like, I'm getting picked on. This will be the antidote for that. And I tried that from sophomore year up until beginning of senior year. And it's like, and it wasn't where if I had to do over, I wouldn't have done that, because it's like, what am I getting out of this? And the incident I described a minute ago with the crutch. I mean, that was part of what I was talking about. It was my part of my impetus for taking up martial arts was, again, it's like wanting to learn how to protect myself, but also like learning, like developing like more of a sense of self-worth too. Is like also what I gained from that I wasn't in school or on the football team, and my grades were also in the shitter too. Like the whole time, because I reached a point where I was basically apathetic. So and that was also why I had to drop from the team senior year, because it basically came to the point, it's like, okay, you can either play football this season or your grades are going to suffer and you're not going to graduate on time. And I chose the latter. So I graduated on time.
Yeah, I just got the hell out of that shit. I didn't look back. Questions: what's America's thoughts on Black Brits? Then I don't know. To be honest with you, what I studied the history of Black folks in Britain, because how do you get there? The history, because every Black person is going to have a different experience. Even in America, somebody who lives on the West Coast is going to have a different Black experience than somebody who lives on the East Coast, maybe, or in the South. It's just different. When I think of Britain, the reason a lot of Blacks after World War II migrated there because of when they were stationed in there, the type of segregation. I'm not saying Britain, UK doesn't have something. Everywhere in the globe does. But the type of racism at the time that a soldier in the United States Army that had risked their life all over the world was going to get back in the United States was not as severe in the UK. And a lot of guys, a lot of, I don't know a lot of British Black folks personally, but I have to assume that anywhere in the world where you are the minority, no matter where you're from, it's probably going to be a similar. I don't know if it's ever going to be as severe as what we went through as a country, given the nature of our origins in the country. It was an entirely different way, that people of color have come around to be. Let's just like in places like Cuba and South America, the reason why there's a lot of dark-skinned Black folks in Cuba was because once the slave trade was outlawed, what would happen is Spain and all these other countries would still try to get their ships through the route, and Britain would sink those ships. They would wait till they because Cuba was a way station for the slave trade, so the Brits would wait there and they would sink those ships. And those people were there. That's it. They were there. There was no, you were not leaving Cuba to come to America for the trade. They would sink those ships. They would strand the captains of those ships there, but they would also strand the slaves that were there, and then they were incorporated into that society, and that's how it had happened along. One of the major ways it happened. So everywhere we are at, we got there somewhat different ways. So I don't talk to a lot of Black Brits, though. That's a good question, though. That's a good question, because a lot of the Black Brits are actors, like Jonathan May. People like that are actors, that I don't personally interact with. And then there wasn't a lot in America, that you would see. So that's a good question. I don't know what I'm not the guy to answer that question, though, but I just know it's different. I know it's different because of the origins of them being there are different than the origins of us being here. So
you vote for me to be prom king, huh? You came a little late, but thanks for the support. Reyes, I got one here kind of telling dead ass people made and make horrible jokes around me when I call them out and tell them I'm Black. Their faces drops and turns white, not to mention being fetishized for being exotic looking.
Yeah, I love that word, exotic, or ethnic. Ethnic is my favorite one. I'm like, I know what you're saying, guys. The code doesn't work with me. It's like, oh, motherfuckers. But it's, it's just, like I said, I didn't grow up in places where it was worse than like I grew up in LA for the most part, and there was a melting pot. There was a lot of us there. You still had some people there, but it wasn't like what my dad went through, and what some of my relatives that lived in the South went through. It was more of we were a little bit more shielded than it. But as I grew up, as I went around, as I became an adult, as I had to deal with the business world and things like that, you see it. It's not like it was in their era, but there's still some code words you got to look at, and you just got to be able to at this point be able to compose yourself to work around it. Like I don't I respond differently now because strategically I may need you for some shit, but I'll get rid of you if I think you're one of those, but yeah, I always hated that's just the one thing that triggered me. But everything else, because obviously we grew up, parents told us, they told us their stories from when they were growing up. My dad grew up in the civil rights era, so it's a different situation, and that's why he joined. He joined the Air Force. He joined him and my uncle. Everybody, they wanted to get out and see the world because they knew the world wasn't where they were living. So that one of the greatest things the old man did for me was join the military.
He says, "I'm sorry to hear all these stories again."
Don't. We're here. We endured, and those things are part of what made me, prepared me to deal with things better than I deal with them then. Like obviously, I can't kick somebody in the balls now. I'm a grown ass man. I'll go to jail. But those are the things that you go through to where it's like, okay, you have to handle things differently if you want to exist in the general public. This is just the way it is.
It taught me a lot about it's taught me about how my experiences taught me a lot about the importance of not suffering fools. It's really and that's also something I tell people. It's like that was another lesson I that I took away from actually the push for the Snyder Cut. It's like, with how much with the fandom was getting sneered at for that. I mean, it brought back a lot of memories of growing up and getting picked on and pushed around, and that was an important life lesson I took from both those. I don't
get these people out of your lives, guys. Yeah. Get these people out of your lives as soon as possible. Not everybody around you has to be in total agreement, but you have to have people around you that are able to have a coherent conversation, whether they agree with you or not. The discussion has to be worth having. And some of the people that are in these circles are just not even worth your time. You don't get time back when you waste it on people.
Fourth as one here. I told a woman she had a sweet European accent. She looked at me, or it turned out she was just deaf.
There you go. But that's fourth. Ethnic. Oh my God, don't get me started on that. Ethnic is like, or urban. I'm like, wait, you realize I know what these words mean. You're like, what are you trying to say? You're trying to be polite. You think I'm too stupid to realize what you're really saying? Like, come on.
Don't point out that DEI mess from last week. It does more harm than good. It points out to some race and then parades PSA and progressive achievements.
Yeah, it's
I think we all do. I think we definitely all do have PTSD from. Well, but also it like I said, I came.
I don't. I have more PTSD from the BVS discussion than I do from the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I would say so.
The Snyder Cut is a success. We shouldn't have PTSD about that.
I came away from that. It's something I feel. I like to think I came away from that. A better person, and I learned a lot of life. I learned a lot of life lessons from you're going after something like this that's an uphill battle, and everybody's telling you it's never going to happen. And it's kind of like what William said, it's like you only, you don't get time back, and don't fill it up with people who are just going to, fill your day with just jabs and sneers.
Yeah. And you're just going to run. I don't, seriously, I don't use lingo either. There are certain people who you follow, if you were to record them the way they speak throughout their entire life. Even me as a child, all the way up till now, I speak the same way. No matter what trendy speak was, I speak the same exact way. I look the same way. My hair, I've always kept my hair short for the most part. As long as you guys have seen it when it gets maybe a quarter of an inch or whatever like that. But I keep my hair, and my vocabulary has been consistent since I learned how to speak, and that's because my mom makes sure of that, because the way she spoke. My mom, when I was learning how to read, write, and do all this stuff, she didn't speak to me as a child For better or for worse, she spoke to me as if she was speaking to another adult. And that's how I formed my vocabulary. And I've kept it consistent. So I don't, whatever trend there was during my life, it didn't matter. I speak the same way you hear me now. It's the same way I spoke as growing up. So no jive.
I'm laughing at something I just came across. I'll bring it up in a second, but this relates to Godzilla, and this is a perfect analogy for the MonsterVerse Godzilla. New Rev. This is okay, yeah, because it is more.
Oh, okay, yeah. That I have.
To BVS, not really.
That's why I was like really gun shy to celebrate the 8th anniversary, because I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna pop the lid off of this again.
I met lots of amazing folks from the movie. You see how much it means to people in different ways from hearing their stories and their channels. Yeah,
we're here. We're literally here. Junkie, all these guys. Like I said, it's a weird thing to think about. What if they had done it right? What if they hadn't meddled with the movie? We wouldn't know each other. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like I cherish the relationships that we've built over the last 5, 6, 7 years trying to get this thing going. But at the same time, it's hard to say, what if this movie had been made right? What if there had been no interference and the vision was there and it was fulfilled? We would have never met each other.
Yeah,
as
Scott McClellan pointed out very drunkenly on the spoiler watch part or spoiler discussion of the ZSGL when it came out. Here's the thing I was talking about. That's Godzilla related. I love how in the MonsterVerse Godzilla is essentially a pissed off drunk guy fighting anyone at the bar, and only his moth girlfriend can calm him down. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I don't want to spoil that part, but yeah. Pretty accurate. I mean, MyGodzill was actually pretty cool for the 12 seconds.
Yeah, he was.
He's on the screen. I mean, in the 12 seconds, 10 of those seconds, he was beating Godzilla's ass. William, I got the same plaque you did. Told I sound like an educated black guy, smart for a black guy. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, like I said, we're not visitors in America. We're not outside the club waiting to get in. Black folks, we're in the club. We've been part of the country even before there was a country. We have fought in every war that the United States have fought in. We're part of the country. We're not some foreign visitors that you have to use sign languages and pictures and etch and sketch to see if you can communicate with us. We're here with you. The English language, guess what? It's free. Everybody can use it. So heaven forbid that one of us uses the same English language that you do. I've always just driven me crazy. And like I said, one lady at my job earlier on, she was in. I didn't put her in tears, but she saw the dread on my face, the anger, because when I'm angry, it's hard for me to hide. And even if I'm trying to politely get away from you and say, "Hey, I got something to do," she could see when she said that the heat, my eyes turned red and my forehead, and it was like, and she knew I was just trying to get away from her because I didn't want my next words to be something that was going to hit like a fist. You know what I mean? It was just best for me to get out of that situation because I kind of respected this person a little bit. This person was more of just on the riding along with the stereotype more than the person who fit. She didn't think she was saying anything offensive. And we had a long talk afterwards. And I'm like, but man, like I said, I go from zero to nuclear when I hear that shit. I'm like, oh.
Did you guys mend that fence?
Yeah, we mended the fence. And the tone in which she said, and like I said, and here's the thing, and I have to learn, still having to learn this, is that people come from backgrounds where that kind of shit is taken for granted, and it doesn't seem offensive because, be honest with you, not enough black folks will say something about it. And I think every one of us that is using the English language and is articulate should say something to that degree, even if it's just to advise your friend, hey, that might not be the best thing to say. And I know you didn't mean it some way, and I have to make an adjustment now because not everybody that's coming at you that way is some kind of flaming racist. They've come from a background where things were acceptable, and nobody said that's not, because like I said, in order for us to have a mutual respect, you can't think of me as some guy who's like, ooh,
yeah.
I thought the book see cat run, dog jump over a fence. Look at me. No, we have to have a mutual respect. If I'm caring, to me, and it's part of every walk of every facet of my life, I can't communicate with you if I'm not speaking the proper English. I can't get my point across to you. I can't make my money. I can't convince you of anything if you can't understand me clearly and effectively. If I'm not an effective communicator, then we can't have a conversation. Or if you think that I am not one and you need to speak down to me, our conversation is already over. So it's really important to me to be able to articulate exactly what I need and what I'm saying. And when I find out that, you know, people aren't, you know, that like that, I'm like, you need to throw that at the mentality out. So for the next black person you meet, maybe skip that.
Yeah, well, and it's easier to forgive ignorance than malice, and it's like,
Yeah,
that instance you're talking about is probably
yeah.
more
I
so
had to
much
get
more
better with
ignorant
that
than
because, like I
malice.
said, I went from having to hold the backhand back and just put it in my pocket to be like, you know what? I know this person in general is not a complete piece of shit. They just said some ill-advised shit, and to them, they may not have. And I had to think about what myself and at you. And when like I said, when I see the people, like, oh, I didn't mean to offend you. I'm like, it's offensive, but I know you didn't necessarily. You weren't having some white hood or some shit like that. It's just different. But you have to make people understand that, you know, I'm in the same country as you. I have access to the same English books as you did. You know, like I said, you know, so, you know, now there are certain situations where, you know, demographically, the educational system is not as good. But you need to know minute one, second one that you're not talking to one of those people.
You know, here's another thing that kind of falls in that. Ruth has one I'm going to pull up in a second here, but I'm to lay this point out too. But this kind of plays into it. And it relates to good old Mr. Joss Whedon, of course, which that horrendous interview he gave where he attributed the the blowout he had with Gal Gadot on the jail reshoots, where he said like English isn't her first language and I'm too flowery in my speech for some people, and of course that got.
Well, what does an Amazon sound like, by the way? I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be heavy Greek, heavy Roman. I mean, what are you doing? You know.
Well, and plus, I mean, it's like nobody bought that. Well, it was a horrible answer, but also nobody bought that because I mean, Gall's English is fantastic. I mean,
Right,
like nobody
I can understand, no problem, man. You know?
But my friend from Screen Rant, who I tease about Marvel constantly, Miss Adrian Tyler. Hi, Adrian, if you're watching. She's
send her a link one day. We've heard about this Adrian enough where she needs to get a link right now.
I actually asked her one time. She said she's kind of she's not too big on getting on YouTube, but I've tried to get her on like I've asked her about like being on Skype and or doing Zoom calls with like another friend of mine, my friend Ashley, where because they're like two peas in a pod. I bet I'd love they would have some. I'd love to hear them shoot because they're both ex Whedon fans. But she's Mexican, and by that I don't mean Mexican American. I mean she's from Mexico, like she, and you know I was talking with her about this one time, and she said the part where he said attributing that whole situation to a language barrier with Gal Gadot, he said that really pissed her off, and it's like I think because she was a big Buffy and an Angel fan, an Avengers fan, and I think that part like cut her particularly deep because again he was trying to use that as a scapegoat, when it was but again it was one nobody bought. It was a horrible thing to say. It's just like with Galmi, her English is fantastic. There's never been any language barrier present. It's the way he went about it is it's he's suggesting that we have this behind the scenes disagreement, and her the language barrier between us, he's almost, the way he frames it, it's almost more of an intelligence thing than a language barrier where it's like, oh yeah, she's just too stupid to pick up on what I'm trying to say.
I agree with you, Rhea. It's just for me, there has to be different levels of, you're right, but I need to go scorched earth like I did back in the day? You know what I mean? Do I need to like literally like and then like I said, I'm not a small dude. And when I'm angry, you physically can hear it in my voice. You can even if I'm not getting loud, you understand that the tone of the conversation has changed and you done fucked up. So it's just a matter of, yeah, you're right, but at the same time, how do I handle it now? How do I want to handle it now? If it's a complete asshole to where I know this person has this condescending to begin with and didn't have the respect for me for these type of reasons, then we're going to end that relationship immediately anyway, like I have. But like I said, it's people shouldn't have these positions, but I know people that have had that, and like I said, not enough of us have gone and said, well, you realize how what you sound implied, right? So to me, it all depends, I guess, where I want to take that relationship and what that particular relationship means to me, because it could go from one to another. If I have, purebred asshole saying it, and then I'm like, we're done. But if it's somebody that I work alongside and I know from other aspects of our relationship that that's not necessarily the case, then I might take a different approach. But yeah, you're right. We shouldn't. And I think as we get the generations go away, we're losing that old school mentality about what people should look and sound like. It's hurting. It's because it's a painful process for some people, but it's one that they got to go through if we're gonna realize the potential of this country, and it has to happen.
Ruth asked a minute ago. It's like, I have a question. How to Brad you on the show? I came with the duck. Yeah, you mentioned you came with the Howard Duck stream. Yeah. So basically, kind of the short version of it is, well, also probably the long version of it is, it's not too complicated a story. I mean, because I knew of William. I'd seen him on, streams like Film Junkie or seen him on the Point Extra Line. So I'd seen him around.
That was enough for me. I'm like, he knows who I am. Let's get him on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I'd seen him around, but I don't think we'd interacted prior to that. But I wrote this article for Screen Rant back in early 2023. It was, in the aftermath of the, kind of the shift that DC on Film has taken with the formation of DC Studios and the DCU coming up, and it was titled DC Isn't Restoring the Snyderverse, it needs to properly end it. And of course I went through my reasoning about it. It's like, okay, it's like, if you're going to shift into something new, you at least need to properly conclude what you started with this franchise initially. And that article went live. William reached out to me and said, oh, hey, I saw your article. That was I feel the same way about it. I'd like to have you on the show to kind of discuss it. So we did that. That was back in January 2023. Ironically enough, right as I came on, my first time on the show was right when I was getting over COVID. Finally, it was like my last day of recovery. Then I kind of the second time I was on, I think that was for the Full Circle event. William had done it. He was one of the YouTubers doing a stream that was tying into Full Circle, as it was
led right into Zack Snyder's Justice League. As a matter of fact,
I was
me, you, ACS.
Thade was here for that too. Our buddy Thade. Thade, if you're watching, us,
Thade was here. Thade was here. Yeah.
And then I kind of came on, more periodically throughout the summer that year. We're talking about the Flash and things like that, and just kind of just sort of snowball from there. And here I am.
Here we go. Yeah, he was before the duck. So.
Yeah, but I was definitely here for you. When did we do the Howard Duck stream? That was like October last year, I think.
Yeah, it was in October.
Okay. So
Clint donated to make that happen.
I preceded the duck by a couple of months. So.
All right, guys. So.
The disguise voice. He should probably sound like Bird.
He uses a voice changer, but all right. I'm seriously gonna like one of these days when I remember I'm going to ban the word Bane in all of these forums. You guys just can't exist anymore. So, all right, guys, I think that's gonna be it. We're at an hour. Oh wow, we're almost at 2. We're at 2 hours, so I'm going to wrap it up. We had state-mandated sensitivity training that trivialized making any type of change in behavior. It just makes it more clear how to avoid getting in trouble. It doesn't resonate. No, it doesn't change their mindset, and that's what I try to do now. Is I try to, if I think it's wherever I can, I'm like, I put it out there. Like I said, what you just said to me right now is worse than calling me the N-word. It's actually worse. It does more damage. And I got to get on some relatives of mine and other black folks too, to be like, because I've heard it from black people. Hey, babe, you sound like you're white. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're literally saying that you have a right to use, the language that is used in the country, your country. You are not, like I said, you are not some visitor here with one of them tourist books that let you know what kind of phrases will get you to the bathroom and if you need an emergency. You are of America. Why wouldn't you use that language? Why would you think that is? And then you got people who will propagate that down to their kids. So when they're saying that to me, they may be pushing that down to their kids, and their kids are thinking that they are lesser, that they don't have a right to sound or articulate like that. And so when you hand that thing, something like that, down from one generation to another, it's really hard to undo. When you grow up with these types of mentality, they're embedded, and it takes forever to get rid of them. So yeah, it's an issue, but like I said, it's one of those things that no matter how disciplined I get, when I hear it, I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now?
My Iraq says no. There was no Pattinson. He just lowered his voice. He just talks in a kind of a whisper like this. That's what Pattinson Batman sounds like. And
the Batman in the comics actually uses a voice changer, so you would not recognize Bruce Wayne's voice if you heard it.
That was cool seeing that with Affleck. That was one of the touches I really, really appreciated, was because that's something Batman would do.
Yeah,
Numbers wanted me to highlight this real quick. William, interesting enough, studies have shown that the exact way your mother spoke to you as a child was as if you were an adult is the way you're supposed to talk to a child to help with their brain development.
Yep. Because that's this. Yeah, because that's he's exactly right. He's exactly right, and that's the way my mom talked to me. That was the way my mom articulated to me, and that's the way she spoke to me for as long as I can remember. Complete sentences. When you walk into a room and you're the person speaking, you're the person pitching, you have to have a command presence in the room that that people are like, okay, this guy means business. This guy is he knows, he's not just throwing shit out there. He's thinking out these things, and more so than the person listening will at that time. And in her line of work and what she was doing at the time, it was key. It was critical. It was critical that from the moment I opened my mouth, you understand that you are not speaking to some illiterate dummy. That sets the tone from that point on.
Yes, the English language is for all, and Ruth speaks the king's language. Yeah.
Yep. It's just a matter. But like I said, you have that mindset for a while amongst our community and community in general, because that stereotype that's been put in. And like I said, and I really started hearing it a lot when Barack Obama first ran for president. I had a lot of
I remember hearing it too.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is a Harvard educated law professor, law review. I mean, probably one of the smartest people in the world, a U.S. senator, a lawyer, a practicing lawyer, running for president. And like I said, I always revert back to, what were you expecting him to sound like? What were you expecting, to be struggling for words, to be having shit written on his hand? He's running for president.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, we know the president, and not to get too political, but the president preceding him,
that's a difference.
Maybe did lower expectations for like presidential speech. It's like, I get it.
All right, guys. On that note, I'm hungry. I got to go eat my burger. And I got to go watch John Oliver. I got to go watch some highlights and stuff. So this has been the Sunday night overnight live stream. Like I said, it went to a place I did not expect it to go.
Yeah, neither did I. We started off with Godzilla, and it's like we're sorry if this turned into like a therapy session for everybody, but
well, I get asked that all the time. And with things that make me mad about that. And like I said, this is one of the things I think everybody who within the sound of my voice needs to understand. I don't care what platform I'm on. This is one thing about me. I don't spread a lot of stuff about me that you guys don't see through the Sci-Fi Center on this channel. But personally, that is the one thing I need you to understand and respect when you're approaching me. That is something you can never say to me and there not be a problem. How I handle it and what the next words out of my mouth are, that's a different story. But it's best that you know outright that is the one thing that will flip the switch, and I don't know if I can turn it off. So, all right, guys. All right. Well, hey, Brad, say goodbye.
Okay, guys. Then let's stop the spoof nonsense and do a watch party of the Raid 2. Okay, and yeah.
There will be no request honored until we get past 2002 o'clock, because it's all for things like 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline. We're really trying to get to a certain level so that we can hand a big fat check to both the local and the national. So we would really love to get off of 10,200. So I'm going to be creative and see what we can do to get back on track here. So all right, guys, I will. Who knows if I'll see you tomorrow. Let's just breaking news. I don't know. don't know. I might just relax tomorrow.
Trust.
I got
yeah, of course.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we
Trust.
go.
Business, yeah.
I got to catch up on some stuff that we need to review as well. And then, like I said, it's WrestleMania week. So I got a lot of stuff going on.
It's Monkey Man week too. So
yeah. Then I can't. Yeah, one steps on the other for me. That's how my life is these days. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Very good.